Hi, and welcome to the Toon Goons, the podcast in which we take an adult and critical perspective into the world of cartoons and animation and analyze how they affect the pop cultural landscape at large. I'm one of your hosts, Nikki.
And I'm Nina.
Today, we are very excited to talk about a longtime favorite anime of Nina's.
Yay!
And a anime that I finally saw after her long insistence and quite enjoyed, Princess Tutu.
Yay!
And then also at the back of this episode, we are going to recap the newest Steven Bomb that finished the day before we're recording. We're recording this on Saturday, February 4th. We're going to talk about Adventure Time Islands in a different episode because we don't want to backload this with too much stuff. And also, frankly, Cartoon Network is you put too much amazing programming on in 1 week. It was exhausting.
Yeah. Even though most Steven Universe fans had already watched The Bomb.
Also your fault, Cartoon Network.
They're saying now that they did it on purpose.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Well,
who's saying this?
Well, apparently it was part of the early access for their app, because they have that Cartoon Network app and you get early access, but apparently, I guess they took it down because the spoilers and the internet went crazy, and they're like, oh no. I don't know. That's what they're saying.
Seems pretty busted to me. Anyway, we watched it and enjoyed it for real this week. And we're going to talk about it, but first, we're going to talk about Tutu. But first, we're going to talk about some news that Nina's got.
Yeah. So what do you want to start with? Let's start with our favorite topic.
Our favorite topic, the Academy Awards.
Yeah. Obligatory Academy Awards coverage.
Let's just make it real quick. Best animated feature film. Kubo and the two... Oh, okay.
The nominations are not bad this year at all. It's just a matter of like what's going to actually end up winning, which we all probably know, but...
Yeah.
So, yeah. First up, Kubo and the Two Strings. We did not end up covering this movie on our show, even though we had full intention to. We really, really liked it.
Absolutely gorgeous. Most gorgeous piece of animation I've maybe ever seen. Certainly stop motion.
And I did like the story. I know a lot of people didn't like the story.
I wasn't crazy about it, but Nina liked it.
Well, I like the ending the most. I like how
it came together.
How challenging the ending was for a kids movie in a way, because it wasn't all sunshine and butterflies, but it was like satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get that. Like, I mean, I just finished replaying BioShock Infinite, which is a game that really loses its way in Act 2, but comes together for an ending that's so good you forget about all the shit that it messes up, that it definitely fucks up in the middle. So I get that.
Yeah. Then Moana, of course, which will probably win.
Which will win.
And it is a very beautiful film. We did
Yeah, I mean, when we say Moana will win, that's not a judgment on any of these other movies or on Moana itself. That's a judgment on how the Academy works.
Right.
They're gonna go for the flagship Disney film, which there were 2 this year. The other one is also nominated, Zootopia. And of the 2, they're gonna go for Moana because it's less challenging, thematically. Right. Which isn't, again, not a knock against Moana, but Moana doesn't have anything to say about the current political climate.
Right.
The way that Zootopia does.
It has the kind of representation that Hollywood likes.
Yeah. Which is to say, it's got diversity in it, but without making you feel bad about imperialism.
Right.
Which is why, say, the Academy completely snubbed Selma the year that came out, because it made them feel bad about imperialism.
Right.
And white supremacy.
And
that's how the Academy works.
We did do an episode on Moana, which we do like it. It's a very beautiful film. But it is a little generic, maybe. But you know what? It's a good movie. And we talk about it more in our episode. Next up is a movie that I keep seeing floating around, but I never actually saw. It's called My Life as a Zucchini.
Ma vie de courgette.
Courgette. I have no idea what it's... Something about violence or something. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
It's a French-Swiss stop-motion animated film. I mean, that's the thing, is that the Academy always puts at least one dark horse animated film on there, and this year put on 2. of like foreign films that have not gotten wide releases in America.
Well, I think My Life as a Zucchini has been available on Amazon Video for a while.
It's very possible, but that's still different from having a wide, theatrical release.
Yeah. The other dark horse is The Red Turtle, which I did hear about, but again, I never saw.
I think we talked about it.
Yes, we did. So I'm looking forward to that being more widely available so I can finally watch it. Then Zootopia, of course. And those are all the feature-length films.
Here's something notable. This is the first year since, in a while, I guess since Cars 2, that Pixar has released a film and not been... Well, I guess Monsters U, I don't know if that got nominated. But Finding Dory did not get nominated, which is interesting. I imagine it's because they didn't want to completely load it with 3 Disney films.
Yeah.
Which I understand. I mean, here's the thing. If I'm gonna rank the 3 films that Disney put out this year, I think I said this in a Moana episode, it's Zootopia, Finding Dory, Moana.
Yeah.
So I'm a little upset to not see it on here, but this is sort of a political thing here. They can't front load it, and they wanted to not get the nomination for the one that was gonna win, which is Moana. So.
Right. I mean, I really like Finding Dory a lot. I know not everybody did. I'm fine with it not being nominated.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
Especially because this is meaningless.
And for short films, again, most of them are things we haven't heard of. First up is Blind Vasha. Then Borrowed Time. Then Pearl, which I did hear of Pearl. I think that one, that's the 361 movie that uses the Google Chrome 360 thingy. That one I was curious about.
It's Patrick Osborne, the guy who did Feast.
Yeah. I remember we did talk about that on our show. There's Piper, which was short film that we all love because it's so cute. And then a film called Pear Cider and Cigarettes. I like Pear Cider. I've never seen it. And then the best visual effects, because visual effects are technically animation. It's CGI. It's very important to making our live action movies as good as they are if the CGI is good. But Kubo was also nominated for best
visual effects
as well, which is pretty neat. And of course, How Far I'll Go from Moana is nominated for best original song. And it might probably win. I don't know what else is nominated for best original song.
I can tell you right now, first of all, something that this article strangely omitted was Can't Stop the Feeling from Trolls.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Poor Trolls.
Then 2 songs from La La Land, and then a song called The Empty Chair from Jim, the James Foley Story. Man, I haven't heard of fucking any of these movies.
I've heard of La La Land.
I'm looking at nominated for Best Pictures. I've heard of La La Land, Moonlight, and Hidden Figures. And I guess I've heard of Fences.
What else is nominated?
Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean...
Oh, okay. Well, here's a great button to put on this section as we move on. Mel Gibson is up for Best Director, so fuck the Academy. And fuck Mel Gibson. What's the next thing we got?
A Cool Awards.
Yes.
A Cool Awards. So, the GLAADs are a very cool award, media awards. I guess they have a ceremony that I support and we like here at the Toon Goons. The GLAADs, they recognize and honor media for the fair, accurate, and inclusive representations of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community and the issues that affect their lives. And there's a
gay
lot
and
of...
lesbian, AAD. I don't know what the rest of it is.
Yeah. And there's a lot of really, really cool films and projects on this list, including some cartoons we all know and love, and that's why we're here. I mean, there's also a lot of just great stuff that I think everybody should watch, because there's just a lot of great stuff on here. Yeah. But we're going to focus on the cartoons.
Before we get to this, just one thing. There are two films, like two wide-release films up for, outstanding film. One is Moonlight, which I understand is phenomenal.
I want to see it.
The other is Star Trek Beyond, which whatever that movie does, I imagine it's overshadowed by Moonlight.
Probably. I also really, really want to see The Handmaiden. Like, really, really bad.
Yeah. Anyway, what's relevant here is that for Outstanding Comedy Series, which also includes stuff like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and Modern Family, is Steven Universe.
Yeah! It's the only animated show nominated for this category. One of only 2 animated shows nominated for anything. I do think Outstanding Comedy is an interesting choice, because Steven has kind of proved itself at this point to just be more of a drama with comedic elements.
It is, but in terms of I also felt the same thing about Orange is the New Black when I watched it, and that show was, they always submitted it as comedy, even though it was not really the show's focus, at least in the first, I think it changed later, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, Steven Universe, they pitch it as a comedy because...
I mean, it is a comedy still, yeah.
Yeah, I still think the public at large is going to be pretty confused if you say that a cartoon for kids is a serious drama. Which, here's the thing, Steven Universe is, but I'm just not sure normies are ready to fully encapsulate that yet.
But, having watched, I've seen Modern Family, that's obviously a comedy. I've seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that is a hilarious comedy. And I've seen Take My Wife, which I also really enjoy, and is a good comedy. Steven Universe does seem like the odd one out, but it is so great that it's getting recognized alongside some of these more mainstream shows. So that's amazing and wonderful. The competition for the GLAADs are very steep, though. There's 10 things at least nominated for each thing. I don't know. Except
for Outstanding Film, which is more indicative of the society, anyway.
Well, for television, everybody knows that television is just doing more good things than film.
Television's better than film.
So, that. The other, cartoon that's getting recognition is Outstanding Individual Episode in a series without a regular LGBTQ character, is The Loud House. That's a show you guys have wanted us to talk about for a while, and we keep putting it off. And it got nominated for the episode Attention Deficit, which I'm assuming is the episode where we get to see the main character's best friends' fathers, who are not regular characters, but make a pretty strong impression, and they're really adorable. I have seen the scene in question. Mm-hmm. It's super cool that it's nominated, alongside things like Drunk History, Blackish, Black Mirror, and a show called Easy, which is a Netflix exclusive that I haven't seen or even heard of. But I have heard of Blackish, and that show is very funny. The GLAADs are fun. Every time I see the GLAADs, I'm just like, yay! Look at all this cool stuff we've made, and look how far we're coming.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things on here which I'm not going to mention, which I'm kind of upset are on here because they're, frankly, more problematic than good.
Right.
I'm looking at music, though, and I haven't listened to that Against Me album yet. Shapeshift with Me.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, I listen to Transgender Dysphoria Blues. I own it. Then Tegan and Sarah also released an album.
And, I said this on Twitter, I think perhaps next year the GLAADs can just add a full-on animation category, because I noticed that they have a comic book category, because LGBT representation has become so prevalent in the comic book industry that it needs its own category, because there's 10 different books that are nominated this year, which is awesome. So I'm hoping that we as an industry can work towards making our own category in this very lovely awards institution.
And, there are some, in comics, there's stuff from major publishers like DC Comics Bombshell, Black Panther, All New X-Men.
Yeah.
Hellcat. And then also, Saga, which makes, I haven't read far enough of the Saga to know why it's up, but sure. And then Lumberjanes, which, yes.
Very yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the recent IDW Love is Love anthology. Kim and Kim looks really gay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's red. It's and it's also just an interesting awards because they also highlight journalism and they make specific mention of Spanish language programs and journalism. So yeah, I support the GLADs.
Yeah.
Yay. So moving on.
Yeah.
To less awardy things. Shout Factory, the distributor, has partnered in order to distribute the animated feature In This Corner of the World in North America. We've talked a lot about Your Name, which was Japan's highest grossing film, period, this past year. However, In This Corner of the World was Japan's highest critical success.
What the fuck? How did Japan... 2016 is going to be like the 1982 of Japanese cinema.
Yeah. At least...
Or whatever film that was.
Particularly within Japan. Like, in a lot of, like, best of lists by, you know, accredited Japanese publications, this film has made number one. And it's probably because it's a World War II movie.
Okay.
It is an animated film, of course. It's, written and directed by Sunao Katabuchi. He worked with Miyazaki before directing films such as My Miracle and Princess Arete. It's produced by Genko and Japanese studio MAPPA, animator of Yuri on Ice. It's a coming-of-age tale. It's hand-drawn. The premise is, In This Corner of the World follows a young lady named Suzu Urano, who in 1944 moves to the small town of Kure in Hiroshima to live with her husband's family. Suzu's life is thrown into chaos when her town is bombed during World War II. Her perseverance and courage underpin this heartwarming and inspirational tale of the everyday challenges faced by the Japanese in the midst of a violent war-torn country. We haven't had a full-blown World War II anime film since the 1980s. Interesting you brought that up. And
yeah, because Wind Rises is really a different animal, which is part of why reception was mixed in Japan, because it was a movie about World War II that wasn't about how absolutely miserable it was to be in Japan in World War II, which I think made for a very interesting take. Is certainly very interesting to see a Japanese artist of any kind do a World War II movie like that. This seems to go back towards, I would say, cultural norms regarding World War II as a setting in Japanese media. But yeah, like, we haven't had Grave of the Fireflies since Grave of the Fireflies. And part of me is like, well, we do have Grave of the Fireflies. But like this...
From what I've heard, it's a bit different.
From what I can tell, it has to be pretty different because, first of all, our protagonist is older.
She's also a girl.
Our protagonist is female, and our protagonist is a young adult, whereas our protagonist in Fireflies was a, preteen boy?
Yeah, a child, or even, Bigfoot, Genji, was it? Is also a young boy. It's usually young boys, is the perspective of these things. So it is interesting to see a young woman's perspective. And I think she also might be creative and kind of an artist type in her own right. I'm not sure. Again, I haven't seen it. I have read about it because everybody who has had the opportunity to watch this film in Japan has said that it is brilliant.
Like, we're looking at a screen cap here of her holding up something, which I think is a charcoal pencil.
Yeah, it's a charcoal pencil. So I'm very excited that it's being made available here in the West. I am very much looking forward to watching it. And letting you guys know what our thoughts are whenever we get around to talking about it.
Also, I think I forgot to tell you this, Nina, but my boyfriend has seen Your Name on a plane.
Yeah, I remember that. I saw that tweet.
Yeah, and he said it was probably the best film he's ever seen.
I have no doubt that it's a good movie. I mean, you can't make
He was like
a lot
30 minutes in, it's like, this is the best movie I've ever seen, and then it just kept going and kept escalating. Like, because here's the thing, is that, like, the movie's premise of, like, they keep Freaky Fridaying and then they're trying to find each other, like, the movie apparently goes far beyond that premise pretty quickly.
Yeah, because it would
is my
have to,
understanding.
because I've read enough, like, fan fiction soulmates AU, where I'm like, I know how that premise goes.
I guess outside of fan fiction, it's a novel premise, but I mean, I don't know shit about fan fiction, but yeah, I really want to see both of those.
Oh yes, I
movies.
definitely want to see Your Name. I can't not see it at this point.
Yeah.
I am curious to see. I imagine these films are they're about very different things.
Yeah.
Like, it seems kind of hard to compare them.
Yeah.
But so I'm happy that we'll be able to watch both of them eventually. Moving on to more American stuff. Something that I think we've all been looking forward to, like low-key been looking forward to, is finally coming. And that is the Tangled television series. Disney Channel has given us a date for first it's going to be a TV movie that will lead into the series. The movie being Tangled Before Ever After, which will be airing March 10th. And then the premiere of Tangled the series will be airing March 24th. That's March 10th at 8 p.m., March 24th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The cool thing is that the Tangled series is going to have the main characters reprise their roles. Mandy Moore, Zachary Levi are going to be playing Rapunzel and Eugene. They're going to be singing songs. Both the movie and the series will have same-day launches on Disney Channel video-on-demand platforms, and will roll out worldwide in 162 countries following their U.S. debut. There's also going to be some print and ebook things that will also feature some original songs, again performed by Moore, Zachary Levi, and Clancy Brown.
Who's her father, which I fucking love Clancy Brown.
Of course, we love Clancy Brown. As well as 4 animated shorts that will be releasing April 11th. The vibrant, energetic, new adventure comedy animation project unfolds as Rapunzel gets to know her parents' kingdom and the people of Corona. With her irrepressible spirit and natural curiosity, she realizes there's a lot to learn about the world and herself before she could assume her role as princess. Maximus is here, Pascal is here, the snuggly duckling pub thugs who are fan favorite. The premise is that in the movie, Tangled Before Ever After, Rapunzel grapples with the responsibilities of being a princess and the overprotective ways of her father. While she wholeheartedly loves Eugene, Rapunzel does not share his immediate desire to get married and settle down within the castle walls. Determined to live life on her own terms, she and her tough-as-nails lady-in-waiting Cassandra, who's really hot, by the way, embark on a secret adventure where they encounter mystical rocks that magically cause Rapunzel's long blonde hair to grow back.
So that they don't have to make new merchandise designs.
Nope.
I think that's doo-doo from a garbage can, but whatever. It's frankly inevitable. There's no way the movie's going to be made without that. Or the show.
Impossible to break and difficult to hide, Rapunzel must learn to embrace her hair and all that it represents. So alongside Moore, Levi, her friend is voiced by Broadway's Eden Espinosa. Modern Family's Julie Brown is going to be her mother. Clancy Brown, as we said, is going to be her father. There's a lot of people on here. Anybody stand out to you, Nikki, that you recognize? Because you tend to be better at recognizing actors than I am.
Diedrich Bader, Steve Blum, Peter McNichol, who I think is a screen actor, Paul F. Tompkins, Jeffrey Tambor, I think is ringing a bell. Sean Hayes, I think is ringing a bell.
Probably a lot of, like, musical people.
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be songs.
Yeah. The film and the series take place, the Disney Channel original film, Before Ever After, take place in between, Tangled and the short Tangled Ever After. So the timeline is Tangled, Before Ever After, the series Ever After.
Well, because Ever After is when they get married.
Yeah.
So this is her adventure she has before she ties the knot.
Tangled is gonna be in Kingdom Hearts 3, so I guess they're like, oh, let's just adopt the Kingdom Hearts naming structure. I went on a fucking Kingdom Hearts, like, wiki dive yesterday and just, like, spent, like, 45 minutes just on the fucking names alone.
I mean, how can you not?
Because I saw an ad for something called Kingdom Hearts 2.8, with the caption, "The story continues," and I'm like, it decidedly does not. It hasn't continued since 2005.
So, the series was developed by Chris Sonnenberg from Enchanted, who did Enchanted, Shane Prigmore of the Lego Movie. Sonnenberg also serves as executive producer and supervising director. Benjamin Bellistreri worked on How to Train Your Dragon, is supervising producer. Jace Rickey is story editor, who worked on Pen Zero Part-Time Hero. And Alan Bodner, who worked on The Iron Giant, is the art director. And of course, celebrated artist Claire Keane, who worked on the character design for Frozen and Tangled, is this series' visual development artist. And of course, I think it has the same musical team people from the original film as well. So this is really cool for a Disney cartoon adaptation, because I think about the Disney cartoons from when I was a kid, and how, like, nobody's reprising their roles, the budget is garbage.
Everybody was played by Dan Castellaneta.
Like, everything was kind of garbage. Sometimes they would be kind of clever, like the Hercules animated series had its clever moments. Yeah. But that was just in the writing, like, everything else was crap.
Yeah, and the other thing is that none of them gave a shit about canon. It was the 90s, like,
yeah.
The idea of cross-media canon was just not a thing. Like, there was stuff, I remember, like, the Timon and Pumbaa series, there was, like, fantasy and sci-fi elements for comedic effect, and it's like, this isn't gonna do that.
No, like, but this is getting the full-on Disney treatment. Like, this feels like Disney, like, all of Disney Studios, like, people are, like, on this stuff. Like, it's not, it almost doesn't feel like a subsidiary project. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, this is Tangled 2. Like, it wasn't gonna come together as a film, but they wanted to do more Tangled. So here it is, Tangled 2, the show.
Yeah. Which I think might work out better. I do like the art style, it's very fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to see these characters again. Tangled was a delightful movie. We never did a episode on it, but I think Tangled is probably my favorite of the recent princess movies.
I mean, I certainly prefer it to Frozen. I think it's, I mean, I like a lot of Princess and the Frog. There's a lot of it that doesn't work. But yeah, I would agree. I would have to rewatch. I've only seen it once.
Definitely of the 3D princesses, I found Tangled to be the most fun movie to watch. Okay, so next up, we have another kind of anime weirdness, and that is that Crunchyroll has teamed up with some people, including cinema creators Chaos Connect and Screen Vision
Chaos, like the robot from Donkey Kong Country 3.
Chaos Control.
It's in all caps, just like the robot.
And
nobody remembers that robot.
I don't remember the robot. And Screen Vision Media and some other people to present to us Anime Movie Night, a quarterly anime theatrical event that will feature top new and classic TV and film titles. The first Anime Movie Night is slated for April, with at least 3 to follow throughout the year, hence quarterly. Each screening extravaganza will feature a selection of episodes or full-length features for a larger-than-life anime fan experience. Attendees will also be treated to behind-the-scenes content about the feature titles. So Nikki sent me a link to the Donkey Kong robot. So this is kind of crazy. Like, they said visit the website for more information, and I did it. It basically tells me everything this article told me. But it gave me a place to sign up for a newsletter, so I'm like, yeah, sure, what is this? Like, I want to know. I guess it's gonna be like a Fathom event in the sense that it's supposed to be available in theaters near you. It says access to best shows and films straight from Japan, so this might give Crunchyroll a vehicle to showcase movies before they get officially, like, distributed and bought up by distributors or something. It also gives them a chance to show limited release versions of anime films, say in, like, LA to qualify for Oscars.
Yeah.
A lot easier and a lot more immediate to when it comes out. I'm curious. It sounds like fun, maybe. If the things they're presenting are interesting to me, I'll report back if I get an email about this April event. Yeah, this is an interesting experiment, definitely. And then we've got 2 new shows, both on one for Cartoon Network and one for Nickelodeon, that are getting their start and have been greenlit. First up on Cartoon Network side of things, we have Summer Camp Island, which is based on the Julia Pott original short that was released during the Sundance film circuit. She's a British award-winning animator and illustrator. She did that film Belly. I haven't seen it, but apparently it won awards on the film circuits when it came out. It's being produced by Cartoon Network, and it's set to premiere next year. It's about the mysteries and fun times that Oscar and his best friend Hedgehog encounter at magical summer camp. Centers on 2 friends who must summon all their courage to navigate the strange wonders of their magical sleepaway camp, where the counselors are witches, horses become unicorns, and monsters live under the bed. Not all campers get to swim with a talking shark, find a different universe under their bed, or make friends with the moon, but anything is possible on Summer Camp Island. Pott has worked as a writer for Adventure Time before, so she's familiar with the Cartoon Network people. They seem to like her. I haven't seen the short because I didn't go to the Sundance Festival this year, but I saw Elijah Wood tweet about it. That's actually how I found out about this story. And I was okay.
There's a trailer that Cartoon Network tweeted on January 30th, or if you just scroll a little bit down on Julia Pott's Twitter, which is @JuliaPott. Oh, and Steve Wolfart's going to be boarding on it.
Yay!
Who does many of my favorite Adventure Time episodes.
Very rad.
And then the other one is Bunsen is a Beast, which we've talked about before, where it's the 4th, or maybe 3rd, honestly, work by Butch Hartman.
Oh.
There is a trailer in this article which I watched, and I would definitely have to warm up to Bunsen's voice, but it's certainly creative.
Actually, that was the first thing I liked about it, was his voice.
Oh, really?
I wasn't sure about everything else, but I liked his little meek-ass voice. So this show is set to premiere this month, February 21st at 5:30, and the series will air with new episodes from the 21st to the 24th. So they'll have a bunch of episodes to start you off, so they can have reruns playing for all the way through summer, probably, which is how Nickelodeon does things. So the series follows Bunsen and Mikey, 2 new friends who seek out fun and adventure in their town of Muckledunk. Good name. As the first beast to ever attend a human middle school, Bunsen feels the pressure to succeed and prove to the world that monsters can live among humans without eating them. With Mikey's help, Bunsen learns how to do human tasks like complete homework, eat ice cream, and ride the bus. And Mikey learns to navigate the beast world, meeting all kinds of weird and wonderful creatures who live there. So for voice cast, we have a pretty...
I mean, these are, standard voice actors for the most part. We got Jeremy Rowley, Ben Garreau, Christina Milicia, who's apparently in Monster High, Carrie Walgren, Jeff Bennett, Jennifer Hale.
Yeah, a full-length episode is available now on Nick.com. Nick On Demand and the Nick app, if you want to check that out beforehand, if you want to see if it's something that you're interested in, since, Harvey Beaks is gone, and some other programs Nick had going are gone. See if this might fill that void in your heart. I don't know if it can, but maybe it'll create a new space in your heart. As we mentioned before, the art style is quite a departure from what Hartman has done before. But I can see the small Hartmanisms. Like, I'm looking at this bear, and it looks very Hartman to me.
Yeah.
I like Bunsen.
You could tell he was going for a different look. It's like his first 3 shows, like those, they had such similar looks that they could have crossed over effortlessly.
Yeah.
This doesn't look, like that. So, I mean, it's interesting to see an artist evolve.
Definitely. Hopefully it's better. I can't imagine it being any worse than his previous venture. Sorry to Tough Puppy fans. I don't like Tough Puppy. I think Bunson's adorable. I like him a lot. And I like his meek little voice.
Yeah.
But I imagine it'll be kind of a divisive thing. So, yeah. And last but not least, we get to the legal end of things, and the fucking crazy-ass lawsuit is finally over, probably. The class action lawsuit that shook up the animation industry the previous year or so has reached a settlement. Holdout defendants, Disney, Pixar, and Lucasfilm, all the Walt Disney people, have finally settled on a $100 million settlement with claimants who say that major animation studios broke antitrust laws by conspiring to set wages for artists and technical employees through non-poaching agreements. Now, other companies have had their settlements reached earlier. Sony for $13 million, Blue Sky for $6 million. But Disney was the biggest offender here, and they are attributed for starting this trend, the wage fixing thing. All monies, which I guess is a legal term, will be paid to a settlement.
You have to assume.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those phrases that make you think that maybe law people have just been faking it this whole time.
All money is...
Because I imagine a Vincent Adult Man's kind of situation.
Yeah. All monies will be paid into a settlement fund to be distributed according to a formula available on the suit's website.
Which I bet is impenetrable to the layman.
But hopefully that means this stuff the anti-poaching agreements, wage-fixing nonsense is kind of, been hammered down upon, and these companies have had to shell out money in response to the way that they've been influencing the industry by making it so animators and technical effects people could only get paid so much for their work. I think it was something about how, the wage wasn't, growing with over time, like it should be. Something technical like that. If you're a legal person, you could read the whole sticky story, but basically Disney's been screwing their employees over for a long time and convinced a bunch of other companies that was the best business practice. Big surprise. But now they're paying some money. $100 million. It's not a lot for Disney.
Yeah, it sounds like that's a lot for me. But Disney wouldn't be paying it if there's no way that Disney was going to take a bath on this. They have the best lawyers.
Yup.
Anyway, that's what we got for news.
Yeah.